Again, Simar is currently a senior research associate with us here at the PGI, and again does his interest lie in surgical vitreoretina and also pediatric retina, and we should soon, have him on board as a member of our retina and especially pediatric retina unit. So, and Simar is going to, although present, similar to Veer's case. I think diabetics are something that all of us come across in our VR practice, and everybody, runs into some kind of an issue doing diabetic vitrectomies. He landed up with a little bit of a unique issue, and let's see how he managed and what he could have or couldn't have done differently. Dr. Simar, please.
Yeah. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to discuss about a fluid trap that I landed up in a diabetic patient, a 40-year-old female. I would like to thank Dr. Raman for conceptualizing this and Dr. Mohit for the kind words. So this was a 45-year-old female patient, known diabetic, diagnosed as proliferative diabetic retinopathy with fractional retinal detachment and vitreous hemorrhage in both the eyes. Right eye underwent surgery with fibrovascular proliferation dissection and fluid air exchange 2 months ago and had a good anatomical outcome. The left eye was planned for PPV now. So I'll just go straight to the surgery and what happened in it. So this was a standard 3-port 25 gauge pars plana vitrectomy done transconjunctivally. I'm entering at 4 millimeters from the limbus. A lot of vitreous hemorrhage, subhyaloid bleed, and the peripapillary tabletop like detachment you can see, proliferation you can see. So went ahead with the standard steps, segmenting the proliferation part by part, separating out the nodes, and then dissecting the proliferation over the nodes. So everything was going fine till here. This was also fine. So then when I just finished dissecting everything, was clearing out the blood, I could see this pocket of fluid at the posterior pole, which was kind of going like this over both the arcades. So I felt there I might have created a break somewhere and the fluid was coming in. So I proceeded with doing a laser photocoagulation first, at least to the area that was attached, rather than doing it under air. I had not seen the break till right here till now. So just as I finished, I could feel that I could not laser this area nasally, and I could see a break over here, right next to the thin retina, next to this clump of hard exudates, ischemic retina. Marked the break and proceeded with a fluid air exchange through that break only. And this is at the completion. You can see the fluid air exchange is complete. The disc is dry. Could laser around the primary break. But even after completing this, I could see a pocket of fluid right here, which is extending up till here, right where I had done the proliferation dissection also. I was not very comfortable leaving this fluid behind. I created a superior retinotomy superior to the superior arcade, tried to drain this fluid, but it just wouldn't come. It was just trapped there. I tried doing laser to the retinotomy. I was not very successful, but at least I had some diathermy over there, and this kind of changed my plan from doing a gas tamponade to oil tamponade, since I had a potential retinotomy which was not properly lasered. And there was a lot of fluid at the posterior pole extending beyond the arcade. So this was post-operative day one. Visual acuity was counting fingers 1 meter, large pocket of fluid as you can see on the OCT as well as the clinical picture. And the patient typically complained of a black dot in the center of his vision, just like our CSC patients complain. And as you will see under a large view, this retinotomy site there appeared to be some whitening around it. So some laser had come around it and it appeared dry, and the fluid was primarily in this area of the retina. So I was comfortable just following up the patient, and this is 1 week post-operative. The vision had improved to 3 by 60. We can see that the fluid had started going down, and now the fluid was just trapped over here, and the volume had also decreased. And this was 3 weeks post-operatively. The patient gained a best corrected visual acuity of 624, and the fluid had largely resolved, much to my respite. So the questions that I have here is that for the panelists, that how comfortable they would be like leaving fluid at the posterior pole that was extending well beyond the superior arcade without creating a new drainage retinotomy. and what was the likely cause of this fluid trap that was created behind? Thank you.
Thank you, Simar, for a very succinct and very crisp presentation, and having asked two very crisp, pointed questions. We'll actually come to them after we finish off with Dr. Sangeet's final videos on managing diabetic retinopathy surgery.